Spiritual psychosis is myth and pseudoscience. I will explain this. Psychosis is a psychiatric diagnosis. Psychiatry is ostensibly a branch of medicine. Spiritual psychosis could mean many different things. My understanding is that psychosis is defined as having false beliefs or delusions or hallucinations. And as far as psychosis goes, there is no objective way to diagnose psychosis medically. That is, there is no objective biological medical test for psychosis. Psychosis is only diagnosed through talking with people and observing behavior. In short, this is why spiritual psychosis is a myth and pseudoscience. One could make the claim that one is Jesus, or one is Saint Peter, or that one is possessed by demons. And that would be a claim. So one could label it as a spiritual psychosis if they believe that claim is false. And if that person is very attached to that claim for whatever reason. There simply is no objective medical test for psychosis. There are objective medical tests for brain cancer, for neurosyphilis, for pellagra. Autopsies post-mortem can diagnose various neurological conditions. There's a quote I like by psychiatrist Szasz. In the past, men created witches. Now they create mental patients. If you want to learn more about this way of thinking, I encourage you to read books by psychiatrist Szasz. He wrote about 35 books, including The Manufacture of Madness, a comparative study between the Inquisition and the mental health movement. Again, it's The Manufacture of Madness. He wrote a book called The Theology of Medicine. He wrote another book called Schizophrenia, the Sacred Symbol of Psychiatry. And he wrote another called The Myth of Mental Illness. So psychiatry is pseudoscience in the sense that objective medicine should adhere to objective measures of disease. This is in line with the thinking and writings of psychiatrist Szasz. So someone could make a claim about something spiritual, and it could be called psychosis, but it's very subjective. There's even been papers on this, like when does a religious belief, cross into the realm of being psychotic versus just somebody's religious belief. In the United States, we have freedom of religion. We have the First and Second Amendments. So to say somebody has a spiritual psychosis is a pejorative way of labeling their views or experiences. Now, someone might have spiritual or religious experiences that are distressing to them. And then to label those as spiritual psychosis is to effectively claim as a medical problem, since psychosis falls within the realm of secular psychiatry and ostensibly objective medicine. Yet, unlike most all other branches of medicine, psychiatry does not base its diagnosis on objectively measurable criteria. There is no blood test to diagnose psychosis. There is no imaging machine to diagnose spiritual psychosis. It cannot be objectively diagnosed through an MRI. If psychosis or spiritual psychosis could be objectively measured, 100% of the time, somebody either objectively has psychosis or somebody either objectively does not have psychosis, in the sense that it is a objective biological pathology, then at that point, the psychosis would cease to be a psychiatric disorder and it would be a disorder of whatever organ it was affecting. If it was the brain and the nervous system in an objectively diagnosable way, then it would be a neurological condition. if someone was having lung problems that were somehow causing this, then it would be a pulmonology problem. Or if it was a bladder infection, it would be related to urology. This is all in line with Szaszian thinking. And for the record, I did go through school to obtain a graduate degree in psychology, so I'm speaking from a certain point of reference. And graduate school and undergraduate is where I first read and watched videos of psychiatrist Thomas Szasz talking and being exposed to his way of thinking, Szaszian thought, Szaszian logic. So spiritual psychosis, is it a helpful way to conceptualize spiritual problems? Personally, I think it's a bunch of pseudoscience and a myth. And again, that is not to say that people cannot have spiritual problems or existential problems or emotional or spiritual distress or believe or claim things that are false. People believe and claim things that are false all the time. Like within the realm of politics, somebody says, oh, we need X or Y or Z to happen so the economy gets better, and then they're wrong. Or, any number of infinite possible claims people make about, economics or so on and so forth that turn out to be wrong. Psychosis and spiritual psychosis are not objective medical diagnoses. So I hope this helps explain one way of thinking about spiritual psychosis as an idea. Read the book The Theology of Medicine by psychiatrist Thomas Szasz. I believe there is a Facebook page I saw once called Sacred Phrenia. Basically the idea that people who are schizophrenic are having some sort of negative spiritual experience. But it's just one person's perspective, and I'm pretty sure they're in the psychiatric survivor movement. And if you don't know what the psychiatric survivor movement is, I suggest you try to learn about it. So hopefully this helps, gives you an idea of a perspective on spiritual psychosis, and maybe read the book The Manufacture of Madness by psychiatrist Thomas Szasz, and The Myth of Mental Illness. In schizophrenia, the sacred symbol of psychiatry. So bless up and limitless peace.